What is going on, y'all? Thank you for joining us here for the Mission Ready Men briefing on the SHR Media Network. Today is Thursday, April 3rd, in the year of our Lord 2025. And we're going to touch on a couple of things that we didn't get to the last time because technology is not my friend. And last time, we were going to talk about RFK, so we're going to get back into that. And we're going to talk about Liberation Day and some of the culture issues that we haven't really talked about a whole lot on this show lately, but we're going to get into that a little bit and other things if we have the time. But thank you for joining us here for the briefing on the SHR Media Network. And you can follow this show on all the socials at Mission Ready Men on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if it sounds a little echoey, I apologize. It is we got a lot going on right now, so please just bear with me while we get that worked out. But you can join us, like I said, on all the socials at Mission Ready Men, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Truth Social, all of them. And for our merch, head over to missionreadymen.com and click on Shop 7 Armors and check out this design I have right here. I will not comply. Check this design out and all the other great designs that we have over there. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's get after it. So I talked about, or I was going to talk about last time, about RFK and his mission to make America healthy again. And before I actually really get into that, if you want to engage in the chat, the best platform for that is unfortunately YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to chime in with a chat. I will try to get to as many as I can. But yeah, we were going to talk about RFK and his mission to make America healthy again. And it's long overdue because we have allowed our government and government agencies to basically poison us over the last, I don't know how many decades. And it's evident by all you have to do is look at pictures and movies of people in the 20s, 30s, 40s, all the way up until probably the 70s, the early 70s. And then when they introduced that food pyramid and started introducing ridiculous preservatives and over processed food and stuff like that. But they've basically been poisoning the population ever since. And RFK is spearheading the effort against that. And he was at an event in West Virginia, and he told the governor, Patrick Morrisey, to his face that he needs to lose 30 pounds and challenged him to do that. And he actually said, well, you know what, let's take a look at this here, because it sounds like it was good-natured fun, and the governor didn't respond in any way that he felt insulted or anything like that. But let's check this out, because this was hilarious. And if I can pull it up here. Like I said, folks, technology is not my friend. Um, well, yeah, technology is not my friend. And while I attempt to pull this up, I will try to tell the story basically. Um, RFK, RFK Jr. basically told the governor that he looked like he ate the governor, which is absolutely hilarious. Um, like I said, technology is not my friend over the past, I don't even know how long, which is weird because that is my career when I'm not talking to you guys. But here we go. Finally, RFK Jr. is fat shaming governors to their faces. And here in this tweet by Colin Rugg, he says, "You look like you ate Governor Morrissey." Let's take a listen to this.
I got to know, I said to Dr. Morris or Governor Morrissey the first time I saw him, I said, "You look like you ate Governor Morrissey." And and there was a lot of talk about getting healthy again. And I'm very happy that he's invited me to be his personal trainer. And I am going to put him on a really rigorous regimen. And we're going to put him on a carnivore diet. We're going to make him raise your hand if you want Governor Morrissey to do a public weigh-in once a month.
That is absolutely hilarious. And it looked like he was on stage with the governor at the time, and didn't. Like I said, Morrissey hasn't responded with any kind of anger or anything like that. But it's just this is what we need. This is absolutely what we need because, and believe me, I'm not going to here and tell you that I am in perfect shape, that I am in fantastic shape. I'm absolutely not. But I at least try. We try to eat as healthy as we possibly can. We have we try to grow as much food of our own food as we possibly can. And the way things are right now, that's pretty much what you have to do. If you look at all of the chemicals and things that are in the food that we eat, that they try to make us eat, that they sell to us, most of it is illegal in countries around the world. It's insane. And so we had that little bit of entertainment. But Sarah Gonzalez from The Blaze interviewed RFK, interviewed him a few days ago when the White House had their podcast Row event, where they had a lot of new media in the White House interviewing the cabinet members and things like that. And she interviewed RFK, and not just for the health aspect of it, but just the administrative aspect of HHS, the department that he is the head of. It's remarkable how ridiculously inefficient these government bureaucracies are. And they've been in charge of our food for decades. And he's going to try and put a stop to it. And I think it's fantastic. I want to listen to take a look at another soundbite that he had with her. And this one is It should be disturbing. It should be surprising. But if you've been paying attention at all, it's really not. It is really not. And again, I'm using a new a different browser because of the difficulties we had last time, and it's it's proving to be less than ideal. But anyway, you know what? I'm not gonna waste your time with that. In this interview where he talked to Sarah Gonzalez, he talked about how they had 100 communications departments, 40 IT departments, 40 HR departments, and all of that was just completely unnecessary. And he also talked about how they had agencies that would develop this information, and then rather than just share it with other departments within the agency, they would sell it to them. How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense for it? Of course, it just doesn't. It's utterly ridiculous. And the fact that we have been paying for this, we've been paying for this for decades. And now that Doge has come in and uncovered a lot of this nonsense, and people like RFK Jr. who come in and said, this is insane. We need to completely revamp this. And the left is going absolutely apoplectic. Because we can't change anything because that's just how we've always done it. Well, how you've always done it doesn't work. As RFK always talks about, we have a chronic disease problem. We have issues that, for whatever reason, they just don't want to address in any real way. And he's trying to put a stop to that. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. All right, you know what? There's one other one I want to see if we can pull up here, and if not, well then, oh well. One of the other things that RFK wants to put a stop to is this idea of a GRAS standard. And what that means is a lot of the chemicals that we have in our food fall under this GRAS standard, which is generally recognized as safe. None of them have been tested. And they fall under this standard, and so they can add whatever they want and just declare that these chemicals are generally recognized as safe. And we've been consuming them for, again, decades. And again, they have been poisoning us. They have been poisoning us with this. You can see my pups have wandered into the studio. And there's Patrick Henry right there. Oh man, this is gonna be fun. But yeah, so I can't pull that up. I wanted to hear him talk about it, but for whatever reason, this is not working out for me. So basically, he's going to put an end to the GRAS standard, and all of the chemicals that are currently in our food are going to go through a rigorous testing process. And I think we can all agree that 98% of all the chemicals that are currently being added to the food that we consume is going to be found to be unsafe. And I'm here for it. I don't agree with RFK about a lot. I think he is on a lot of things. He is a radical leftist. He's just as far left as any other Democrat. But on this and this alone, as far as he's concerned, he is on the money. And like I said, I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it. You know, something else that I'm here for is tariffs. President Trump the other day declared it Liberation Day and imposed basically a 10% tariff across the board for, I believe, 180 countries. And then additional tariffs for certain other countries like China and things like that. People are losing their minds. People are absolutely losing their mind. Well, you know what? First, what are tariffs? And a lot of people probably don't really know. They hear the American prop that talk about tariffs and how terrible they are, and so they just assume that it's going to be bad, and if Trump's doing it, then it's automatically bad, and this is going to lead to a trade war, and we're going to have a recession and a depression, and prices are going to go up, and the sky is going to fall. Everybody just needs to calm down. Tariffs are taxes charged on goods that are imported from other countries. And that is a very simplistic definition. I understand that. I'm not an economist. I don't even want to play one on a podcast. But the fact is that we're charging, or we're now going to be charging, hey, Jethro, we're now going to be charging reciprocal tariffs on countries that have been gouging us for a long time. And let's see if we can pull this one up now, because this is just a website. It's not audio or anything like that. Let's see how this one works out. Yes. So this is an article from Zero Hedge, and he explains tariffs, and he explains what this Liberation Day objective means. And here you can see the industries most impacted by these tariffs: cars, motor vehicles, pharmaceuticals, oil and gas, motor vehicle parts, and computer equipment. Typical. I mean, this is pretty much what you expected. But if you scroll down here and take a look at the U.S. trade deficit, this was in 2024. This is the trade deficit in the top 15 countries: China, the EU, Mexico, and just go on down the list. It's insane. I believe that this this trade deficit with China is $295, almost $300 billion, and the EU at $236 billion, and then Mexico, Vietnam, which I was really surprised to see Vietnam and Taiwan on this list, quite frankly. And it's just what this is President Trump having a spine. This is President Trump standing up to these countries and saying, "You're charging us a ridiculous amount, and we just want it to be fair, so we're going to turn around and charge you." And the thing is, with this Liberation Day and the tariffs that have been imposed, they're not even completely reciprocal. If you look at the tweets and the news stories, they're at a discount. They're discounted tariffs. And there are people who are talking about how the calculation for these tariffs are suspect and who knows. I don't really care. What I care about is the fact that we have a president who is standing up for this country and telling these other countries who are basically ripping us off, no more. This is the line. No further. Some people might get that reference. Some people may not. But the trade between the United States and all these other countries has been ridiculously imbalanced. And I heard somebody say that this morning that they have a trade imbalance with their grocery store. He buys stuff from them and he sells nothing to them. I think that's kind of a stupid analogy, but there are people who actually subscribe to that idea, and the trade imbalance is because our economy is so much bigger than most of these other economies. Even if that's true, and yes, that is true, but the tariffs that these other countries are charging us are just completely out of whack. Completely out of whack. And I understand how some countries may need to have some protectionism for certain industries that they specialize in and things like that. I think everybody can understand that. But when you have a $295 billion trade deficit with China and $236 billion with the EU, and then, like I said, just go on down the list, I mean, that's something's got to be done about that. Now, if there's something that I'm missing, because like I said, I'm not an economist, I don't play one on TV or a podcast. If there's something that I'm missing, please feel free to chime in. Tell me how I'm wrong. Educate me. But as far as I'm concerned, from what I see and from my understanding of the trade deficits, imbalances, and tariffs, I think this is a great idea. And there have been countries that have, in the wake of this and in anticipation of this, have decided that they are going to drop a lot of the tariffs. Israel, and for the life of me, I don't understand why Israel had any tariffs against us to begin with, because, and I am as staunch a supporter of Israel as you could possibly imagine. But why were they imposing tariffs on us in the first place? Because in many respects, they owe basically their existence in a political sense to us. They shouldn't be charging us anything. But they agreed to drop them, so better late than never, I guess. But when you look at how things have been shaping up, when you look at the trade imbalances and the tariffs that have been imposed on us, when the president says, you know what, We're going to try to level this playing field. We're going to impose reciprocal tariffs on you. Everybody gets up in arms. Everybody gets upset. And it's like, well, what planet are you living on? Why is it that you can do that to us, but then when we stand up and say, you know what, we're gonna make this a little more fair, that sends people into that freaks people out. You're not supposed to do that. You're the United States. We're supposed to be your piggy bank. You're supposed to be our piggy bank. No. And we finally have a president who says, we're not having this anymore. And you can quibble about how it's being rolled out. We can have a discussion about whether or not it's being implemented properly and stuff like that. I'm perfectly willing to have that discussion. But the fact that we have somebody who's standing up and saying, we're not having this anymore. Y'all just gonna have to come to the negotiating table and figure it out. Because they would never be in our position. None of those countries would ever be in this position. They would never have allowed it. If any of those countries had the largest economy in the world, the most powerful economy in the world, they would never have allowed themselves to be in this position. Ever. You know it, I know it, and they know it. And so one way or another, fair trade is going to happen. And if these countries don't want to sit down, don't want to comply, if they insist on a trade war, we're going to win. We're going to win. It's that plain and simple. And I'm fairly certain that they all know it. And if they don't, well, they are about to enter the FO portion of the program. All right, we're going to get into some culture stuff here. But before we do, I want to get a word from our sponsor. And our sponsor for today's program is my beautiful wife's company, Cari Girl Gear. And Cari Girl Gear is, they have some of the coolest designs. They have some of the highest quality shirts that you will ever find anywhere. You can take a look at all the other t-shirt companies out there. You won't find any better quality shirts or any cooler designs. I can guarantee you that. So just check out carigirlgear.com, carigirl.com, and find out for yourself. There's drinkware, there's hats, there's all kinds of accessories that your wife or your girlfriend would love. And you can also shop Seven Armors from the Cari Girl shop. And if you don't know, if you're not sure of sizes, if you're not sure of what you think she might like, then just go ahead over there and get yourself get her a gift certificate and let her pick out her own stuff. Neither one of you will be disappointed. I guarantee it. So, fellas, check out carigirl.com today. All right, y'all. You're listening to the Mission Ready Men Briefing. I am Big E, and you're watching us on the SHR Media Network. And on the network, you can catch Sackhead Sean with The Edge of Liberty every Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. The Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. And BZ and the Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. So he will be on this evening He will be on this evening, and please check him out. I will do my best to be in the chat this evening. So you want to check him out. He's always got great insights, great stories, and all these guys, all of them have great insights and great stories to tell. And please subscribe and share all these guys' great shows. Pray for us that we have a huge breakthrough this year, and so that we can reach as many people as we possibly can. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Now, I have talked many times about the attack on manhood and masculinity on this program. And this week, I saw a couple of videos on Twitter, X, that made me feel the need to address it again. And I hope that that these we can actually see because I think they're important. And the first one is Matt Walsh. He testified. Well, he didn't. I watched the whole thing, and he really only had an opening statement at the beginning. But I think it was a powerful opening statement. And it's worth your time. It's a little longer than usual. It's about 1 minute and 45 seconds. But I think it's worth it. And let's just hope and yep, here we go. So let's take a listen to this, and then we'll talk about it.
Sports is deeply unfair. And I'm not going to talk about safety, although it's certainly true that allowing men into female sports teams and into their bathrooms is incredibly unsafe. I'll let others highlight those important points. I want to talk about something even more important and even more basic. It's the most basic thing of all. It's truth. You must keep men out of women's sports and out of their facilities for the simple reason that they are men. Men are not women. A man who claims he is a woman is still not a woman. So why shouldn't men play in women's sports? Because they aren't women. It isn't true. We should not allow men into women's sports for the same reason we shouldn't go around claiming that 2 + 2 = 7.
I mean, it's the most basic, the most basic of truths. Let's continue.
It's just not true. It is a lie. The man who identifies as a woman is either deluded and confused, or he is a cross-dressing fetishist looking to play out his fantasies in public. In either case, the claim that he's making, the claim to womanhood, is not true. And compelling women to take part in this untruth is evil, perverse, and predatory. If you would use the force of law to compel young girls to use a changing room with a boy, you are yourselves predators. Transgenderism is a lie. It is, in fact, the most deranged lie that mankind has ever invented. In a free country, nobody should ever be forced to participate in a lie. As lawmakers, you have an obligation to the truth. It is a truth that I know you all recognize because every human who has ever lived on earth recognizes it, that men are men and women are women. It is that simple. And the question before you is just as simple. The question is this: will you side with the truth, a truth so basic that every toddler understands it, or will you disgrace yourselves by denying it? That is your choice to make.
I mean, he's 100% correct. And he he puts it in a way that only Matt Walsh can. And it's actually pretty hilarious to hear him so calmly and succinctly and brutally tell these people all about themselves. And he's right. There is no your truth, my truth. There is the truth. There is the truth, and everything else, everything that is not the truth, is either a lie, a delusion, a fantasy, or a fetish, as Matt Walsh puts it. And I was talking to my dad a while ago. I can't remember what the context was, but there's a verse in the Bible, Proverbs 11:1. Dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. Now, well, what does that mean? Dishonest scales. A man or boy competing in women's athletics, claiming to be a woman, is a version of a dishonest scale. It's just not true. It's not right. Like Matt Walsh said in his statement there, it's a truth so basic even a toddler understands it. Men are men, boys are boys, women are women, girls are girls. And you can't switch between the two. You can't magically or surgically or whatever other means become the other. And to suggest otherwise is a lie or a delusion or a fetish. No man wants to, quote unquote, compete against women. They just don't. They know it's inherently unfair. And encouraging these boys to feminize themselves in order to play a sport or an athletic activity where they know they will win, especially, and what's happening is these boys who are not talented enough or athletic enough to win against other boys, they're feminizing themselves and then claiming to be a woman, claiming to be a girl, and then competing against girls and just obliterating the field. We see it all the time. And it's not just in things like track and field where they can just where they beat women by who knows how much, just a ridiculous amount. It's not just that, but then you have the safety aspect where you have the basketball players just tossing their opponents around the court. The field hockey player who got her face smashed in and lost a bunch of teeth. Peyton McNabb, who had the ball spiked in her face in I believe North Carolina in volleyball, still suffering to this day. That was a few years ago. And the list just goes on and on. And encouraging these boys to do this is not just an attack on masculinity and women for that matter. It's an attack on both, actually. And it's an attack on God's design. And these people, they don't believe in God. They don't believe that God designed us, that God made us in his image. So as far as they're concerned, it's not an attack on anyone or anything. It's just they're their own gods. And so because they're their own gods, they know what's best because it makes them feel good. It's another example. That 50-year-old up in Canada who was competing in a swim meet against girls, and not just teenage girls, although they were there, but girls as young as 8 years old were in this competition. And he was in their changing rooms, changing into his swim gear, and then competing against them in the pool. And nobody said anything. I could go off on that for a long time. But I'll just say this. That goes beyond being a fetishist into full-on predator territory. But that doesn't happen, according to these people. But here's the thing: this was the natural progression of, or the natural culmination of a number of factors. Third wave feminism, telling women that they didn't need men, the government encouraging women to have children and not worry about marrying the fathers of their children, society telling men that they needed to get in touch with their feminine side, the government adopting policies that made it necessary for intact families even to have both parents work outside the home. So there are a number of other factors, but as a result of what I just listed and others, boys were either raised by the streets or by single mothers. And the ones raised by the streets ended up thugs and gangsters. And the ones raised by single women and a society bent on feminizing them are homosexual, gender confused, and competing against women and girls. And I know that's a generalization. I know that there have been intact families that have ended up raising gender confused kids and all. I understand that. I'm generalizing, and I recognize that I'm generalizing, so don't come at me with that. I know that we generally talk about men's issues and things like that. But I don't want to, in this particular discussion, I don't want to leave the gender confused women out of this discussion, because I came across another video and it's really sad. It is really sad. And let's see if I can pull this one up. Yeah, here we go. This video is of an actress who now thinks she's an actor. And as I said, this is just sad.
Goodness, what has brought me the most joy? The most joy. It's, getting out of the shower and the towels around your waist and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, there I am. I'm not having all these little moments that used to be just being in a t-shirt. It's being able to touch my chest and feel comfortable in my body for probably the first time. Tears of joy. Goodness, what has
Yeah, those really looked like tears of joy because that looked like a miserable person. And this is Ellen Page, who now goes by Elliot Page, who thinks she's a man. And there is nothing masculine about that. There is absolutely nothing masculine about that. She looks like a woman. She looks like a flat chested woman with a short haircut. She's that, and that's what she sounds like. Men, and see, we've talked about this before when Dana Bash during the convention talked about this new masculinity. And as far as they're concerned, this would be considered masculine. There is not a man, a masculine man on the planet that acts like that, that thinks like that. The answer to the question for a lot of men would be, my family brings me joy, my kids. Men who get fulfillment from their jobs would say, my job. They wouldn't say being able to touch my chest when I get out of the shower. I mean, what is that? And there are people who actually think that this is representative of what masculinity is. And we'll call her a man just because she calls herself one and had her boobs chopped off. She was, is, and always will be a woman, no matter what she calls herself, no matter what surgeries she has. God did not design her to be a protector, a provider, a leader. He designed her to be exactly how she acted just then, a woman. All right, y'all, we're running a little bit out of time, and there are a couple of other things I wanted to get to. And that was part of the culture discussion that I wanted to have. I don't generally get into a lot of entertainment, even though before with the old podcast, I would talk about it quite a bit, especially because I'm a big fan of Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and the movies and stuff like that, and Star Wars. But I haven't really talked about it because it's not, it hasn't been my focus. But an actor said something that is just, again, well, actors quite often say things that are completely ridiculous. But this guy, John Boyega, he was in one of the Star Wars movies, one of the, well, I won't say terrible, but not one of the best Star Wars movies, we'll put it that way. And he's upset because he thinks that Star Wars is the most whitest elite space, and that's a quote. Let's see if we can pull it up. It's completely ridiculous. It's insane. And it's, well, you know what, let's just pull it up here. Maybe. Oh man. like I said, technology is not my friend. All right, well, you know what? Forget it. I'll just read part of it here. John Boyega is British, and he played Finn in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, or The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. And he said in a new documentary that Star Wars has always had the vibe of being the most whitest elite space. Nobody care. Put it this way: people have been starting to care about this representation nonsense, and they want to see people who look like them in these movies. It really shouldn't matter. And you know what? It probably wouldn't matter if they were creating actual good stories. If they were telling good, compelling stories, it wouldn't matter. But because these movies are not performing the way they think they should, because these people aren't making, these movies aren't making $1 billion like some of them have in the past, and in some cases just completely tanking and flopping. This is the result of that. They want to see the representation. They want to see the Black, the Latino, the LGBT nonsense. Tell a good story, and it won't matter. Write a good script, and it won't matter. It doesn't matter. And to have this representation nonsense, Black people are 13% of the population. Latinos, I think, is like 10 or 11%. LGBTQ is, I'll be generous and say 3% of the population. If you have one Black person, one Latino, one LGBT in a movie, there's your representation right there. And I talked about this. There was a movie. It was a biopic, I believe, that didn't get Oscar nominations or considerations because it didn't meet the diversity requirements. And it's like it was a documentary or a biopic or something like that. So you're just gonna change the racial makeup of a historical event? That was part of the backlash with the Snow White movie that bombed recently, because Snow White obviously is described as having white skin, and they picked Rachel Zegler, who was Hispanic, to play Snow White, and she royally screwed that up. These people are certifiably insane. And again, tell good stories, entertain people well, and none of this will matter. There will obviously always be some racist who will bring this up. But I bet if John Boyega made millions of dollars off that movie, he would shut up about it because he'd want to do another one. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? All right. I wanted to talk about the special elections in Florida and Wisconsin. And I'm just going to touch on it real quick because we don't have a whole lot of time. But Florida, they won their special elections. The conservatives did by a margin of about half of what Trump won back in November. And so the left is spinning that as conservatives need to be concerned. No, this was a special election that has even historically lower turnouts than midterms. And the fact that they won by double digits tells me that there is absolutely nothing to be concerned about. Even considering the fact that one of the candidates was not really a true MAGA supporter, but was just Republican and kind of lukewarm on President Trump and actually opposed him on some things. Even that guy won by 15 points. Because people are just done with the left. Done. That's not to say that we should rest on our laurels. That's not to say that it's over, because it's not. People counted out the Republicans a long time ago. And now here we are with the White House, the House, and the Senate. So and so that could change. So we got to keep our foot on the gas. But this was not something to be concerned about. And then in Wisconsin, they lost the conservative judge lost the Supreme Court race, and that didn't really change anything. There was already a liberal majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. So the fact that she won, the liberal won, it really had no effect. Well, everything that people are concerned about in terms of the Wisconsin Supreme Court was going to happen whether she won or not, or whether she won or there was an election to begin with. So that was nothing really changed. But what did change in Wisconsin was that they voted to require voter ID. They voted to put that in the Constitution, the state constitution. So that is a win. So Republicans, conservatives came out of this special election with wins. So as long as we keep our foot on the gas, we'll be fine. Midterms will be fine. 2028 will be fine. But we can't rest on the laurels that we have right now and just coast and think that it's going to be smooth sailing. We're going to have to continue to fight. All right, y'all. I wanted to talk about Cory Booker and Rachel Zegler. Cory Booker and Jasmine Ratchet, but I am out of time. So that is all I got for you right now. I will try to do better on the next one, but please remember to like and subscribe and share these episodes. Didn't get much in the chat today, but please remember to hit us up in chat so we can continue to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and the message of hope and liberty that he promised us, because we want to preserve what we have for future generations. And also, if you like the shirt I'm wearing, I Will Not Comply, or any of the other great designs that we have, head over to missionreadymen.com, click on Shop 7 Armors, and check out this design and all the other cool designs that we have there that have a message of faith and patriotism. missionreadymen.com, Shop 7 Armors. All right, y'all, as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.